guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be giving you a last minute Christmas Eve look. I know that right now a lot of you are probably going to get things ready for tonight. Some celebrate on Christmas Eve, some celebrate on Christmas Day. Me personally, my family celebrates on Christmas Eve, which will be tomorrow, which when you're watching this will be today. That makes sense. So I wanted to pull together a last minute look for you guys. This look is going to be from a moderate level makeup kind of person, if that makes sense. I wouldn't really categorize this as a beginner look, nor would I really categorize it as an advanced look. Now there are some things that you can leave out in this look that will make it a little bit more beginner friendly. And I'll mention that throughout the tutorial. So this was really fun to film. I had Christmas music going. I'm just in the spirit now. I am all ready and excited for the holidays to finally be here. For those of you who are also part of the Hispanic culture, you know what it's like to make tamales during this time of year. And right now that is what my family is preparing to do. So my house smells like straight up food right now. So it's making me kind of hungry. But without further ado, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for having my channel be a part of your life. Thank you so much for viewing. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you all next week with a New Year's tutorial. Bye! So to start off this look, and because it's going to be a holiday tutorial, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to be probably out kind of late during Christmas Eve. I mean, we all know it's a good time when family gets together or friends, so you're going to want to make sure your makeup lasts all throughout the night. So I am priming my face with my Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer and just really pressing that into the skin before we go in with our foundation. For those of you living in colder parts of the country, I suggest for you to use a primer that offers more moisturization. So for the foundation for this look, I am using my Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation Stick. This is the perfect foundation for a special occasion or event, especially when we be taking pictures. Even though I don't need my foundation to last all throughout the evening, it gives a nice natural finish and it's a customizable coverage. Also, I like to apply this by making stripes along my face. I don't care if I look funny, but then I take my full coverage foundation brush and I like to buff this all out and press and stipple it into my skin afterwards. This is going to ensure that it lasts longer and it's really going to just lock in that foundation and set it. What I like about this foundation is that, like I said earlier, it is a customizable coverage, so if you want it to be on the sheer side, I suggest to pick up that foundation with the brush instead of applying it directly to your face and then trying to buff it out. This way that I'm applying it offers you a more full coverage. And another good thing about this stick is that, come on, can you really get your foundation on any faster with a liquid? I don't know about you, but this is definitely the fastest way for me to get foundation on my face, which I think that is just a win-win situation. Also, this foundation looks really natural. It's a beeswax base, so it's not greasy, suitable for all skin types. I mean, there really is no downside to using this foundation, and it photographs beautifully. Then moving on to the eyes. I am first priming my eyelids with MAC's Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. You all know I love this as an eye primer. It kind of discolors any discoloration or veins that your lids may have, and I am just applying this directly from the brow bone all the way down to the lash line. You're going to want to make sure you spread this out evenly, that way you don't have any clumps and it interferes with your blending of eyeshadows. So for this look, I'm going to be starting off with a taupe colored eyeshadow, and specifically I'm using Undone from the Vice 3 palette from Urban Decay, and just really buffing that into my crease, making sure to work my way from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner. You don't have to be too neat about this since we're going to be layering colors into the crease, and once we add that glitter, it will cover up any mistakes or messiness on our eyelid. Then for the second color, I am taking a warmer color. This is Downfall from the same palette, and again, just going over that crease. This layering of color not only adds dimension, but it's also going to help the eyeshadows blend more smoothly together. And first of all, can y'all see that long brow hair sticking out? Oh, it's annoying me. Then I am going to be patting over Bobbi Brown Bronze Glow Highlighting Powder. This was part of the holiday collection. I'm going to use this kind of as a base shadow for the glitter we're going to apply later. This is going to offer a more full look of color as opposed to just applying glitter on its own. Then for the glitter, I am taking my Lime Crime glitter helper and just really patting that all onto my eyelid area where we're going to be pressing into that glitter. Then taking the Sparkle Shadow from my Bobbi Brown Warm Eye Palette, I am picking up a little bit with my finger, and really there is no better way to apply this glitter than with your finger. This is going to offer you the most color payoff. And just really kind of doing a press and pat motion. Patting just up and down on your eyelid isn't going to give you the kind of payoff that you want. You kind of have to slightly swipe your finger slightly over the lid for the glitter to really adhere and to attach. What I like about this glitter is that it isn't chunky and doesn't really get messy on you. Then to darken up that outer crease a little bit, I am going back in with a darker, warmer color. This is from the Bobbi Brown Warm Eye Palette as well, and this is in the shade Sable. And I am just really applying that and focusing it on the outer crease. Then taking my eye blender once more and just again really making sure that my eyeshadows are all nice and blended and smooth together with that glitter. Then we're going to outline a rough sketch of a wing using my Bobbi Brown Longwear eye pencil in the color Jet. Now I am using a pencil as opposed to my gel liner because I wanted to make sure I can really make this soft and smoky, where the gel liner kind of dries and it's going to be harder to really smudge that out and smoke it out. If you pull your eyelid and make the skin taut, it really helps with applying eyeliner, especially in a pencil form, so you don't have any gaps or jagged lines. And I'm just roughly drawing this out. We don't have to be too neat because we're going to clean it up later. But once we have that eyeliner laid down, since we're already there, you want to tightline those upper lashes. We are going to be applying false lashes, so we don't want any gaps of skin from our upper lash line appearing between our lashes and our false lashes. Then just taking an angled brush, I am picking up a little bit of the color Espresso from that same Bobbi Brown eye palette. This is a very, very dark brown, almost black shadow and matte. So if you don't have this exact eye palette, you can use another color similar. And I'm just going over lightly where we had placed that eyeliner. And again, you don't have to be too neat. We're going to clean it up and sharpen up the edges later. But I'm just kind of running over the top of that line and really making sure I get a nice gradual fade into my lash line. Once we get to that inner corner, you can just press this color of eyeshadow right into those lashes and then just slightly work your way up. Then to make sure that is blended with our outer crease color, I am just taking a pencil brush and really making sure to reapply a little bit of Sable onto that outer corner and just blending that into the wing. Once we are done with that, I am correcting underneath my eye area with my light bisque corrector, also from Bobbi Brown. And I'm focusing that color onto the inner corner first and then dragging it all along my bottom lashes. And then right here, we're going to get a nice clean sweep. And you can see we sharpen up the edge of those eyeshadows and that liner, and now we have a perfect little wing. So again, you don't have to be too neat. There's always ways to correct your mistakes or to make something look sharper. Then to conceal, I am taking my NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer in the color Vanilla, and I am doing an upside down triangle. Doing this little triangle shape as opposed to just swiping your concealer away from your inner corner is going to really help lift that eye area and give you a slight highlight. And this really kind of goes back to highlighting and contouring. This really does lift that whole eye area and make you look more wide awake and bright. Then I'm just buffing out that color, making sure I have no harsh lines. Then taking that same concealer, I'm going to be highlighting the other parts of my face. You can leave this step out if you don't want to waste your time with highlighting. I totally understand. But for me, I feel like highlighting and contouring really add an extra oomph to the look. But if you just want to follow the eyeshadow look, then by all means do so. But I'm just taking that concealer and putting it on the bridge of my nose, Cupid's bow, chin, forehead, and of course right in between the edges of my nostrils, because that's where I tend to get the most red and my foundation will tend to break. Then just taking that same brush I used to blend out underneath the eye, I'm using that to blend out the concealer on the other parts of my face. You really want to make sure you blend this out well. You don't want to see harsh lines between your concealer and your foundation. That's going to be a little bit too obvious, and we don't want that. We want this to be nice and soft and a smooth transition. This brush that I'm using offers a full coverage as well, and this is already a full coverage concealer, so it's going to really make sure that you have an absolute coverage over any blemishes and just really make the whole look seamless and flawless. So just continue to buff that out. Again, if you are more on the dry side, I suggest to go with a concealer such as this one because it is creamy and it does offer a bit of radiance. But if you are more on the oily side and you want a matte finish, I suggest to go with a matte concealer as opposed to this. Either way, it works just as well. Then to make sure to set that underneath the eye area and the other parts of my face where we had highlighted, I am taking my Bobbi Brown Pale Yellow Sheer Pressed Powder. And I am just going to be patting that onto the areas where we had set that concealer. And I am oily, so I'm definitely making sure to set my T-zone with this. If I don't, you can bet I'm going to be having my foundation break like crazy. Then I am just making sure to reapply soft ochre on that bottom lash line. For the rest of my face, I also wanted to set, because since I am using the Skin Foundation Stick, not my Longwear Even Finish, which offers a oil-free and oil-controlled coverage, the stick can tend to get slightly shiny, and I really don't want that for this look, so I'm making sure to just powder the rest of my face with a powder that matches my foundation color. Then I am contouring with my Bobbi Brown Golden Light Bronzer, and as you can tell, I'm going in circular motions around the frame of my face and the hollows of my cheek. This really gives a nice soft contour and blends everything easier into that highlight, as opposed to just going in back and forth motions. If you want a cream highlight, by all means do so, but for me, I find that powder highlighting is just easier and faster. But, you know, nothing against cream highlighting and contouring. I absolutely love that too. Then for my blush color, I am taking Bobbi Brown's Blush in Almond. This is a discontinued color, and it's so sad because I think this is such an essential color. But if you wanted to, just use more of a red tawny color, kind of like a cinnamon. Then I'm just going back and contouring my nose. For the rest of the eye look, I'm taking that same eyeliner we used on the top lashes and just applying that slightly into the waterline, not such a heavy coat. Once we're done with that, I'm going to be taking the Shadow Espresso once more on a smudge brush, and I'm kind of pressing this into the lashes but also dragging it down ever so slightly. Once that is laid down, we are going back with Sable and just running that along the lashes, and then going back to that taupe color we had first applied in the crease and running that along as well. Again, this layering of colors is going to help make that eyeliner look not so harsh and really blend back into the outer wing. Once we're done with those eyeshadows, I'm going to quickly and lightly apply a coat of mascara to my top and bottom lashes. Here I'm using Bobbi Brown's mascara in the Extreme Party formula. Once we are done with that, I popped on some lashes. These are from Sonia Kashuk. I don't know the exact name of these, but I don't think she has much of a variety yet. I got mine at Target, obviously, and but they're more of like a spiky look to them. Then going back to the rest of the face, I am going to be highlighting using my Balm Mary Luminizer and just taking that onto the high points of my cheeks, chin, cupid's bow, nose, and right above my eyebrows. So now moving on to the bold lip. First, I'm going to be starting off with a dark berry lip liner. This is going to really assure that we're going to create an ombre lip, and we want to focus that color on the outer edges of the mouth and kind of blend inwards on the outer corners. Once you're done with that, I am taking a matte creamy red. This is a blue based red, so it's going to be a lot cooler tone, which is going to help blend into the berry lip color, and you're going to place this all over the lips. It's going to kind of be our base color to help the blending process. Then taking Mary Kay's Really Red on a lip brush, I am going on the outer edges of my lips, working my way inward. Then I did add an extra brightness and added MAC's Lady Danger onto the center of my lips. And then once we were done with that, I did go back in with concealer and just really make sure to clean up those edges. Once we are done with that, we have the completed look. So to keep this look more beginner friendly, you can totally skip the ombre lip. Just sticking to a classic matte red lip is totally traditional. And you don't have to do the lashes either. I think they just added extra drama, which I love, and they really help open up my eyes and make them look larger. This wraps up this tutorial. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and until next time, I will see you in my New Year's tutorial. Bye-bye!